Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith. We've been talking about the indictment of former President Trump, the political implications. Just recently, we've talked about what if President Trump decides not to run? Should Joe Biden still be the nominee? We've heard a lot about how Republicans need to step up and decide that President Trump is not the person they should have for their as their nominee. With 40% of the Democrats saying that perhaps Joe Biden shouldn't be the nominee, is it time for a Democrat to step up and say he is too old for this office and I can continue his policies, but we need to make a change and go younger?
Not if your intent is to win in November and you have a sitting incumbent president with the track record that we all agree on is very, very successful. And you're doing it because you're throwing his age out there. You're concerned about just turning the page for sake's sake, because he's been effective. He's been effective. The administration's been effective. If that's your choice, I think we need to make a change despite these accomplishments because of his age. Good luck with that. You're going to split the party, and you're going to split it in such a way that if you can't get it back together like we did, well, 08 was a little different, but you're going to split it in such a way that you're going to create a path for the GOP. There will be so much division and acrimony after that primary that Democrats who are looking for an alternative or will start to look for ways, if they didn't already, to accept the GOP nominee. You're setting yourself up to lose the White House and then forego the accomplishments and the path that we've taken, which I think has been very successful for one person's personal ambition to take on an incumbent president for one reason, which so far has not proven to be a problem in running this nation.
Well, we all see the pictures of incoming presidents and outgoing presidents, and we know the aging process that takes place, some more dramatic than others, but nobody escapes it. And guys, it's 17 months left before even the election. A lot can happen. And I don't wish the president ill. I'm just saying, for the same reasons we were talking about the fact that the former president, we said, should do something and he never will step aside. I hope that the sitting president, for the good of the country, even with whatever accomplishments you've outlined and whatnot, would take it upon himself to say, I don't know that I would be best suited at the age of 86 to be holding the nuclear codes and ruling the free world. Maybe it's time for someone else to take on this reign and this responsibilities. I would hope that it would be his decision. I think he is the sitting president. And if he wants renominated, that's his decision. He's earned it. That's the same way we feel in the Republican Party. So really, it's all on Joe Biden. And if Joe Biden decides to do what's best for the country, I believe he'll make a decision sooner than later to announce that he will not seek a second term in which the time could come where an 86-year-old man would be running the country.
If that were to happen,
the question we're sort of dancing around is, what does President Biden do if Donald Trump drops out?
That's a good, yes, absolutely.
That's right.
Question,
Sure.
really.
If that were to happen, I mean, that gets back to Stacy's question, and we are dancing around it. If that were to happen, I would suspect that, or if it's even being considered now, then you're having a conversation with the leaders of the party in the House, in the Senate, the DNC, state party chairs, the governors in the states, who all have a stake in this, and all factions of the party need to be at the table if we're going to talk about that scenario, so that we don't have a divisive, a destructive primary to weaken ourselves to hold the White House.
Yeah.
One final thing I'll throw out here. We have about a minute and a half to go. There is talk that a lot of people do not want to see Joe Biden as the nominee. They don't want to see Donald Trump as a nominee. In other words, they don't want to see a replay of 2020. They're willing to go for a third party. Is there a chance a third party could do anything other than swing the vote one way or the other?
It'll tilt the election, depending on who. If that happens, it will depend on who it is. It's that third party candidate, and as to who they will affect.
I think there's a better chance moderates from both parties will find themselves surprisingly holding the same ground, and that could be without a third party. A third party is real difficult to do in this country.
Hey, we're all gray right now, so yeah. I actually think, even though we're a little older, a time will come in all of our lifetimes in which a third party will be in play. I don't believe it will be next year. The other thing I want to throw out at the end of this program is, if indeed there isn't a change at the top, if the current president decides, I'm going to stand for re-election, my prediction today on Flag Day, June 14th, is there will be a new vice presidential nominee.
Oh, great tease to get us to our next section when we come back again in a couple of weeks. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I also want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that you join us again for the next edition of Around the Table with Stacy Smith. And indeed, we'll bring up that question: should
Thanks,
President Biden keep Kamala Harris as his vice presidential nominee? We'll see you in a couple of weeks.